One of the things that's on my mind is a conversation I had with my husband earlier this morning. He was telling me about the Black Lives Matter mural that is in DC. He was telling me that the mayor was the person who actually ordered the dismantling of it because of pressures that were coming from the White House. And this is in no way judgment towards her. So advanced compliance is when someone pressures us to do the thing that they want us to do. They really don't have the power to make us do it. It is a way of us complying because we believe that it will serve us in some way. I can't help but think about our ancestors who sat at lunch counters, who were hosed down, who had dogs, attack dogs, sicked on them, that the pressures that were meant to break our will and meant to make us do something that someone else wants us to do, to bully us into it, that was something that we didn't allow ourselves to give into. And so I am a little disappointed. About why the pressures that she received caused her to dismantle something that she put up as an act of defiance, and then years later felt pressure to remove. And not just remove like it's simple, like take down a sign, but really dismantle in a destructive way. Like it actually sends a message. I feel like she jumped the gun a bit. It wasn't in order. She didn't have to do it. And again, I am not judging her, but I am saying we have to glean from the power of our ancestors who stood up against what seemed like immovable powers. This is the work that I believe we all need to do. I think it's the work that we all have to do. We have to strengthen our resolve not to bend in the face of a terrorist and tyranny. It's not a good look. What it causes me to do, though, is it causes me to reflect on what ways might I be complying in advance? What ways may I be giving away my power because I'm operating in fear, that fear rises up and I don't do the work to alchemize that fear so that it is not able to control me, right? When we act from fear, we are not in our power. I really wish that she did not bend under the pressure of whatever she was feeling. We think it's collaboration, but we give ourselves away in order to appease abusive power. We lose in the end. And I really feel like whatever act of defiance that she took in creating the DC Plaza, that act of defiance was dismantled, and not by someone else's hand, by her own. Yeah, that's something that she's gonna have to live with. I don't judge her. I understand that people do things for a number of reasons. I guess the message for me right now is like, don't bend under pressure. Like, there's gonna be pressures that we experience in life. Trust your initial action. Trust that you will be divinely guided, protected, and provided for as you navigate life and as you stand up and do the things that you're called to do. There's things that we have to do in life. There's things that we're called to do that are necessary, and that we need to do it with balance. We need to do it with compassion. We need to do it with this awareness that we are bringing our full selves. We're bringing who we are meant to be into that situation. And that's why we also have destiny, which I love. Our destiny is our calling. As a social justice educator, I believe that it is necessary for everyone to understand their unique role as an individual. And when I say unique role, that part's really important because a lot of times we can see other people and what they're doing, and we can be envious about what they're doing, or we can see what they're doing and see it as being in competition with what we're doing. And in actuality, our role is unique. There are people that we're here to touch that nobody else can touch. There are people that we're here to have impact on that nobody else can have impact on. And so it's really important for us to understand our unique destiny, our unique calling. Because when we do, the first thing that happens is that we no longer are looking at other people and comparing ourselves with them. Because we know that there's something that we can bring into this world that no one else can. The second thing that happens is we operate in that unique calling, in fulfilling our destiny. Our destiny isn't money. Our destiny isn't a person. It isn't a house or car. It's not a thing. A destiny is who we were called to be in this reality, in this incarnation. Who have you been called to be in the world? What's that thing that you're supposed to do? How can you bring compassion to that work? That you don't despise that work, but you see that work as necessary and important and a part of who you are, and that it sustains you. So when we are operating in balance, in divine balance, we are not seeing one thing being more important than the other thing, one person being more important than the other thing. We are in alignment with the nature of the universe, which is balanced, which operates in love, which operates in truth, which knows that there's light and dark in all things. And as we navigate the dark, we search for the light. And as we are in the light, we search for the dark. So that in searching for the dark, it doesn't mean we're desiring the dark, but we're doing the inner work. We're looking for the areas in which we can shine more light into our lives. It brings transformation into the world. So when you're operating in your calling, when you're operating in divine balance, one with the universe, in collaboration with the universe, you are going to see a change in the physical world. So how can I relate that to what I'm going to be focusing on and working on today? How can I apply that to my day today? I can make sure, one, that I'm in balance, that I'm bringing myself into alignment with my divine nature, which is one with all things, which knows that there is no lack, which knows that I am abundant, that all things that are needed for my life and for my work will flow to me with grace and ease, that there's no need to strive or struggle, that as I calibrate my beingness with the universe, with Source, with God, that there may be times where it's wobbly, but I know that I'm supported. Everything will not be easy, and there will be times where we fall, but we will get back up again. We will get back up again. I think it's really important for us to have compassion with ourselves and with others. Just received a message from Spirit about how we are divinely guided, protected, and provided for, how we are to bring our unique being, our unique gift into the world with power and with balance, with the courage of knowing who we are, knowing that we will have exactly what we need, and also knowing that it will transform the world around us. So that's what has been spoken today in this space. If you have been drawn here, just know that that message was for you as well. I am a transformational coach. I weave together personal development, spiritual growth, and social justice. And I have created a beautiful portal for you to continue into deeper work. But also there's other ways to work with me around us doing our work with power, us operating in divine balance, and us knowing the reason why we are here, our unique calling. So, curious, do you know your calling? Why are you here? I am here to bring oneness into the world. I am here to support humanity in evolving into a better humankind. I am here to encourage people, to uplift people, and for us to understand our inherent connection as human beings. Power and peace to you all. Hope you are having a fantastic morning. I was talking earlier about how we can give away our power. I think that is something that we all tend to do. We don't know when we're giving up our power. And sometimes we think that we're actually operating in a way that's powerful, but it's actually in a way that is forceful. So how can we make sure that we're navigating life in the fullness of our being, walking in our divine purpose, walking in balance with humanity and the world around us, and also doing the things that we have come to do? It's important for us to recognize that there is something that only you are here to do in this world. No one else can do it. And the moment that you recognize your unique gift and your unique purpose, all issues of comparison fade away because you are focused on the thing that you know that only you can do. And you actually support other people in the way that they need to be supported because you know that there's something that only they need to do. I'm holding the vibration of power and peace and all needs met. So I'm grateful for you coming on in, sharing some love. Talking about how our divine calling unique to only us. And it will give us courage to do the things that we need to do once we know what it is. Like this morning, I know that I'm supposed to be focusing on pouring into humanity today. And I felt like, you know what? Maybe it's going live. Maybe it's just going on a platform and holding a vibration and being intentional about putting the energy that I am here to bring into a very specific place. So that's why I'm here. Why are you here? That's a really important question to ask ourselves. So this is the journal that I created. Just so happened to open up to how do you give your gift to others? In what way do your gifts contribute to bettering humanity as a collective? That's a really important question. I think we have to ask ourselves consistently. Why am I here? What am I here to give to the world? What am I here to be in the world? Is probably a better question, because giving means that we have to be doing something, and our doing, we are human beings, not human doings. We're here to be a very specific presence. I know that mine is to be a beneficial presence on the planet, to bring people in community and connection with one another, with their deepest selves, and to make sure that we are creating what I call ecologically sound justice. We think that actions that we take are the thing that brings change into the world. Without the intention behind it, like what we're here to do with this action, without the intention and a clear goal, what we do doesn't accomplish anything, especially if we don't know what we want to accomplish. So in 2020, when diversity, equity, and inclusion, and everybody was creating a statement and starting their initiatives, it was really clear to me that for a lot of people, they didn't know why they were doing it. They just felt like the thing that needed to be done. And now it's very clear that even some of those programs did not prepare people to, and I'm going to say defend, but it did not prepare people to understand the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion. What diversity, equity, and inclusion looked like in practice. because for a lot of folks, diversity is about seeing differences. That if we don't have a diverse group of people here, we need to work on the diversity. But in actuality, if you do not see a diverse group of people in any place, you don't need to act to create the diversity. You need to recognize what is hindering the diversity from happening. So you acting to create diversity does not address the underlying issue that is preventing diversity from happening, because diversity, it occurs in nature. It is a natural occurrence. So if there's a lack of diversity, it is because it is being suppressed by a way of being that does not nurture, does not appreciate, does not create space for diversity. Okay? So the next thing, that means that there's practices, there's ways of being that we practice that limit appreciation, that diminish diversity. So it's not about bringing diversity in, finding diversity and bringing it in. It's about recognizing what is the problem in the soil. What's the system in the soil that is keeping diversity from being able to naturally thrive? Inclusion. A lot of people think of inclusion as integration. We don't have inclusion in our world in general. And that's not because it's not a natural thing. It's because we don't have systems that allow diversity to thrive. Inclusion is a practice that allows diversity to thrive. So what does that mean? What does it look like? Well, if diversity happens in nature, and the diverse nature of things means that people, individuals, have a voice in sharing what their unique needs are, then it means that equal voice, equal protections under the law, equal justice, that inclusion is a way of making sure that everyone has the same level of access. It doesn't matter what the numbers are. It doesn't matter if you're in the majority or in the minority. The majority still has a voice, and their voice doesn't increase because of their numbers. Their voice stays the same because the majority, the people who are in the majority, they all have the same need. And so having one voice for that need, and one voice for the need of the diverse populations, right? Each dimension of diversity having a voice means that everyone has an equal voice. That is what inclusion is. It is not exclusion based on numbers. I don't know of an example in history where we have practiced that. The next thing is equity. Equity has been practiced on a small scale, but true equity makes sure that equality is the consistent goal. Equity is a practice of restoring the natural balance and order of things, which all men are created equal. All things are created equal. People, planet, prosperity, and peace are available to all people. When we are practicing equity, equity recognizes when equal voice hasn't been given. And it makes sure that equal voice, equal protection under the law, equal access to shared resources, that these are practices that we practice, that we include in how we interact with one another in society and in the world as a whole. If we are not practicing equity, we will never achieve systems of equality. But equity requires us to know all of the unique needs. It requires inclusion. It requires equal voice for all people, that everyone's social, emotional, physical needs are met. And it requires that diversity, the diversity of our beingness as humans, is valued. So diversity, equity, and inclusion is an equation. It is an equation to create systems of equality and justice. It is how we dismantle the systems of oppression, the systems of injustice, the systems of majority and minority, and this group of people's needs getting met first, and this group of people's needs on the back burner. So diversity, equity, and inclusion are just means goals. They are an equation for the end goal, which is systems of equality and justice. Now, for some people, they will say that will never happen. You will hear that's just not practical. You can't serve everyone. And that's a limited belief. That is a limited belief that is given to us by people who want to continue to operate in systems of inequality and injustice. It is an excuse to maintain the status quo or just move the needle just in a tiny way, in a tiny fashion. It is not progressive. It is taking whatever we can get. And I think that we have been in a fearful place in the past where we think that access to resources, that value, that power and privilege should only be given to the people who earn it. And that goes directly against justice and equality. It goes against the knowing that we are inherently equal, not just as humans, but in equality with our planet. When we recognize and begin to practice systems of equality and justice through the equation of equity and inclusion with diversity, we will make changes. They will be very easy. And when we release this limiting belief that we can't serve everyone, we will begin to serve everyone. This idea that we can't serve everyone is scarcity. And scarcity is what creates hoarding. Scarcity is what creates the haves and the have-nots. And that's not how life needs to be. Life is balanced. It's us humans who are not. The planet is balanced, but us humans creating superiority over the planet is what creates imbalance within our planet. And us denying our effects, the effects of our choices on the planet and on people, are how we continue in a downward spiral. It's really short-sighted. It is a limited way of thinking that what happens in this Earth ecosystem over there doesn't eventually come over here and affect us. And I think that's what we're seeing right now, because I think there was a lot of isolation, a lot of beliefs that this community can be here and this community can be here. And, we don't want them mixing together, and just lots of beliefs of as long as I'm doing well here. And that's why you can see people who are now in a place of recognizing that their decisions, their apathy when it came to the needs of others, and the hyper focus on serving yourself can actually backfire. Actually will always backfire, because if that is the mindset that we are promoting, someone else is always thinking about themselves and not thinking about you. It's important for us to recognize our interconnectedness. I think it's important for us to recognize our unique role in supporting one another as an Earth ecosystem and supporting our planet. And for us to gain courage to stand up against what feels like immovable structures, immovable powers, when we gain our courage, and when we do the things based on our unique skill, our unique gifts, when we're seeking to bring balance, and when we know our calling, we step in alignment with the universe. We step in alignment with the power that is above all things and that is always beneficial and working for the highest and greatest good of all. We step in alignment with Source. When we finally find the balance and we understand our interconnectedness, we will change the world. We will change the world.